There's something watching you while you sleep, and you've always known it, haven't you? That inexplicable feeling that you're not alone, even when all the doors are locked and all the lights are off. But what if I told you that this presence isn't imagination, isn't paranoia, and definitely isn't coincidence? What if this shadow that hovers over you in the most vulnerable hours of dawn is exactly the proof that you carry a mark that not everyone can see, but that the spiritual world recognizes instantly? Have you ever woken up at 3 in the morning with your heart racing, for no apparent reason? Have you ever felt that inexplicable weight on your chest, as if something invisible was pressing your soul against the mattress? Have you ever opened your eyes in the darkness and had the absolute certainty that someone was there, even without seeing anything? This is not chance. This is not simply anxiety or stress. This is the sign that you were marked before you were born, and there are forces both luminous and dark that know exactly who you are. The chosen don't sleep like other people. Their sleep is an invisible battlefield, where truths are whispered and lies are shouted. While the world rests in peace, you are being tested, observed, molded, and the question that no one dares to ask is, who or what is watching you in the quietest hours of the night, and why you, among millions of people who sleep peacefully, were chosen to carry this burden of nocturnal consciousness? Let's talk about the truth that no one mentions in the beautiful spiritual circles decorated with motivational quotes. Being chosen is not receiving an instant crown of glory. It's carrying an invisible cross that no one sees, but that weighs so much that your knees tremble with every step. It's waking up every day feeling that you're out of sync with the world, as if your spiritual frequency was tuned to a channel that others don't even know exists. Have you ever tried to explain to someone what you feel? Have you ever tried to put into words this anguish that lives coiled in your chest like barbed wire? And when you tried, you saw that look, didn't you? That look of pity mixed with distrust, as if you were exaggerating, as if you were just another person complaining about life. They don't understand. They'll never understand. Because the pain of the chosen doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't bleed visibly. It corrodes from within, drop by drop, night after night. And the losses? The losses of the chosen are different. They're not just losses of people, jobs, or opportunities. They're losses of entire versions of yourself. It's waking up one day and no longer recognizing who you were a year ago. It's losing friendships that seemed eternal, because your energy changed, because your vibration elevated so much that it no longer fits in the same circles. It's being rejected for wanting truth in a world that prefers comfortable illusions. It's being called crazy for seeing what's beyond the curtains of common reality. The loneliness of the chosen is not common loneliness. You can be in a room full of people and still feel like you're in an empty desert. You can have messages on your phone, appointments on your calendar, but deep in your soul, there's an emptiness that no one fills, because you're not looking for superficial company. You're looking for souls that vibrate at the same frequency as your mission. And these souls are rare, hidden, scattered around the world like distant stars in an infinite sky. And God's silence, that's the deepest blow. You pray, you cry out, you beg for answers, and the sky seems made of concrete. Your words rise and hit an invisible ceiling, returning empty to your heart. You wonder if you're being punished, if you did something wrong, if you were abandoned. But the truth is much deeper and much more mysterious than you imagine. The silence is not absence. The silence is preparation. For years, you carried this pain silently because you knew no one would believe you. You smiled when you needed to smile, worked when you needed to work, functioned when the world demanded functionality. But inside, there was a war being waged, a war between the will to give up and the inexplicable certainty that you were made for something greater, something that even you can't name yet. And at night? At night is when everything gets worse, isn't it? It's when the masks fall, when there are no more distractions, when you're alone with your thoughts and with this invisible presence that never leaves you. Have you ever wondered what this shadow wants from you? Why did it choose you to watch? Why exactly you, with all your pain, with all your confusion, with all your spiritual exhaustion? There's an ancient secret that was purposely erased from the most popular sacred texts, a knowledge that few dare to mention because it reveals something disturbing about the nature of divine choice. In the forgotten manuscripts in the oral traditions that were never officially recorded, there are mentions of an unsettling truth. The chosen are not only observed by forces of light, They are also watched by forces that want to prevent their mission from being fulfilled. Do you think it's coincidence that every time you're about to take an important step in your spiritual journey, something happens? A financial crisis out of nowhere, an inexplicable health problem, an emotional conflict that explodes for no apparent reason. This is not bad luck. This is not misfortune. It's intervention. It's spiritual sabotage. It's proof that you're being monitored by intelligences that perfectly understand the size of the threat you represent to the structures of darkness in this world. The shadow that watches you while you sleep is not just any entity. It was designated specifically for you. It knows your deepest fears, your most secret weaknesses, your unhealed traumas. It studies you. It waits for the right moment to whisper doubts in your ear when you're most vulnerable, to make you believe that you're not special, that you have no purpose, that you should give up and accept a common life. But here's the detail that changes everything. This shadow is not there to destroy you. It's there to strengthen you. Does it seem contradictory? It's because you still haven't understood divine logic. God doesn't protect the chosen from battles. He prepares them through battles. The presence of this shadow is proof that you have something valuable to protect, something so powerful that the forces of darkness need to assign a permanent watcher just for you. Think with me. Ordinary people, who live superficial lives, are not watched like this. They sleep in peace because they represent no danger whatsoever to the kingdom of shadows. They don't carry enough light to bother the darkness. But you carry a flame that can ignite long-forgotten truths. You carry spiritual codes that can awaken other chosen ones. That's why you have no rest. That's why you have no easy peace. Because easy peace doesn't forge spiritual warriors. And the signs? You've been noticing the signs, haven't you? Repeated numbers that appear at specific times. Vivid dreams that seem more real than reality itself. Unlikely encounters that change the course of your life. Words that reached you at the exact moment you needed to hear them most. All of this makes you part of a larger web of synchronicities that connect chosen ones around the world, even without knowing each other physically. There's a hidden purpose behind every tear you shed alone in the dark, behind every night you begged for answers and only received silence, behind every betrayal that broke you and every rejection that made you question your worth. All of this was necessary. All of this had a reason, and now you're about to discover what it is. Prepare your heart for what I'm going to reveal now, because this will completely change the way you see your own story. The shadow that watches you while you sleep was not sent by God to torment you. It was allowed by God to refine you. There's a colossal difference between these two things. One implies punishment, the other implies purpose. At the deepest levels of spiritual reality, there's a law that few understand. The greater the calling, the greater the opposition. The brighter the light you were destined to carry, the more intense the darkness that will try to extinguish it. You weren't chosen for an easy life. You were chosen for a meaningful life, and these two things rarely go together. The shadow that watches you is like a relentless instructor who is assigned to ensure that you don't reach your destination weak, immature, or unprepared. Every attack you suffered in the spiritual world was a test. Every doubt that was planted in your mind was an opportunity for you to strengthen your faith. Every fear that paralyzed you in the middle of the night was an invitation for you to discover courage you didn't even know you possessed. God doesn't send premature comfort to his chosen ones. He sends spiritual adversaries that force them to discover who they really are. Think of every great prophet, every great spiritual leader, every great light bearer in history. None of them had a peaceful life. None of them slept peacefully every night. All of them were tested in ways that almost destroyed them. But that, in the end, made them unbreakable. You're being forged in fire that no one sees. While people judge you from the outside, thinking you're just someone else struggling with common problems, you're going through spiritual furnaces that transform coal into diamond. And the shadow? The shadow is part of the process. It's the pressure that transforms your soul into something indestructible. And you know what's most impressive? This shadow is afraid of you. Yes, you read that right. It watches you because it knows what you'll become when you finally fully awaken to who you are. It knows that when you align your consciousness with your heavenly purpose, you'll become an unstoppable force of transformation in this world. That's why it tries so hard to keep you small, to keep you doubting, to keep you tired. But the time has come for you to understand something fundamental. The fact that you're watching this video now is not coincidence. You were guided here because you're about to pass through a portal of consciousness, an awakening that has no return. From the moment you truly understand that your pain had purpose, that your suffering had reason, that your sleepless nights were spiritual training, something inside you changes forever. The shadow that watches you while you sleep will continue to be there, but now you know the truth. It has no power over you. It never had. It only had permission to test you, and you passed every test, even without realizing it. Every time you woke up and decided to continue, despite the pain. Every time you prayed, even thinking no one was listening. Every time you chose the light, even when darkness seemed more attractive. You won. And now I need you to close your eyes for a moment and feel this deep in your chest. Feel the weight of everything you carried alone. Feel the depth of every night when you thought you couldn't take it anymore. Feel the immensity of your own strength, which kept you standing when everything around you was crumbling. You are a walking miracle. You are living proof that light always defeats darkness, even when the battle is invisible. That shadow that scared you for so long, it witnessed your resilience. It saw you break and rebuild yourself so many times that it lost count. It saw you beg for death and still choose life. It saw you doubt your own sanity and still maintain faith in something greater. And you know what happened? It started to lose power over you, because you became bigger than your fears. This is the moment when your story changes tone. You're no longer the victim of invisible forces. You're the warrior who learned to fight in dimensions that others don't even know exist. You're no longer the one who hides under the covers afraid of what's in the dark. You're the one who turns on the light and faces whatever is there. Every chosen one goes through this moment of revelation. It's when pain stops being just pain and transforms into wisdom. It's when suffering stops being just suffering and transforms into spiritual authority. It's when you finally understand that you weren't being punished. You were being promoted to a level of consciousness that very few souls reach. The tears you shed, they watered seeds of purpose that are now sprouting. The sleepless nights, they kept you awake for conversations with the divine that only happen in absolute silence. The losses that broke you, they removed everything that was false so that only what is true remained. You didn't lose anything. You were purified. And that feeling of being watched while you sleep, it will never scare you the same way again. Because now you know you're not alone in a new way. You're protected. You're being prepared. You're being guided to a destiny so grand that your name is already written in places that human tongue cannot pronounce. This is your moment of final choice. You can go back to living in fear, ignoring everything you just discovered. Or you can lift your head, take a deep breath, and completely accept your identity as chosen. Not because you're perfect, but because you were proven. Not because you never failed, but because you always got up. Not because you were never afraid, but because you moved forward even terrified. What happens now is irreversible. You crossed an invisible line in the spiritual world. The person who started watching this video is no longer the same one watching now. Something inside you was activated. An ancient code that was sleeping in your soul has just been unlocked, and there's no going back. The shadow that was watching you while you slept, it's still there, but now it knows that you know. And that changes everything. It lost the element of surprise. It lost the power of ignorance over you. Now you're both aware of each other and you have the advantage. You're on the side of light. You carry within you a spark of the Creator himself. And this spark cannot be extinguished, no matter how much darkness tries to smother it. Your pain was not in vain. Every moment of suffering sculpted in you a capacity for empathy that will heal other chosen ones. Every night you spent awake prepared you to be awake when others are spiritually asleep. Every rejection you suffered taught you not to depend on human validation, but on divine confirmation. You were trained in the most rigorous school that exists, the school of pain with purpose. And now comes the most beautiful twist of this entire journey. Those who rejected you, they will witness your ascension. Those who underestimated you, they will recognize the light they tried to extinguish. Those who abandoned you, they will realize too late that they were beside a chosen one and didn't know how to recognize it. But you won't take revenge. You'll simply shine, and your light will be the only answer needed. The loneliness you felt, it was preparing you for a much deeper connection with the divine. You needed to learn to be alone with yourself and with God before you could truly connect with other chosen ones. Because now when you find your spiritual twin souls, the connection will be real, deep, unshakable, not based on convenience, but on recognition of essence. God's silence, it was never silence. It was you learning to hear at more subtle frequencies. God was speaking all the time, but you were used to hearing shouts when he spoke in whispers. Now you've developed refined spiritual ears. You can hear what used to go unnoticed. You can feel the divine presence in places where others only see emptiness. Your next nights of sleep will be different. You may still wake up at 3 in the morning. You may still feel invisible presences. But now you'll know how to distinguish between what watches you to test you and what guards you to protect you. You'll understand that you're literally sleeping on a spiritual battlefield, but that you're not the only warrior. There are entire legions fighting by your side even if you don't see them. You're being called now to a very specific mission. It's not just to survive, it's to transcend. It's not just to heal your own wounds. It's to use your scars to illuminate the path of other wounded ones. It's not just to understand your own pain. It's to transform it into purpose that will echo for generations. You are the answer to prayers that other people are making at this very moment. You are the light that someone is begging to find in the darkness. If you made it this far, it wasn't by chance. You were guided. And now I need you to do something very important. Something that will seal this revelation in your consciousness and declare to the universe that you've accepted your identity. I want you to go to the comments now and write just 4 words. I am a chosen one. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. Just declare. Because when you declare something publicly, you activate a spiritual law of manifestation. You're telling the universe, I recognize who I am. I accept my mission. I will no longer hide. And when you do that, observe what happens. Observe how many other chosen ones will recognize you in the comments. Observe the connection that will form between souls who have never seen each other, but who share the same spiritual mark. You'll realize that you are never as alone as you thought. There are thousands of us scattered around the world, carrying invisible crosses, fighting battles that no one sees, preparing for a collective awakening that will transform this planet. Subscribe to this channel and activate the bell, because what you just watched is just the beginning. There are even deeper revelations waiting for you. There are even more transformative truths that you need to discover, and I was assigned to bring these messages to you. It's not ego, it's mission. Just as you have a mission, I have mine, and mine is to ensure that chosen ones like you awaken completely. Share this video with someone you feel also carries this invisible pain. That person you look at and feel. They're different. They feel more. They suffer more. They were marked too. Send it to that person, because maybe this video is the confirmation they're desperately needing to receive. Maybe it's the answer to a prayer they made last night, alone in the dark. You're not crazy. You're not exaggerating. You're not making things up. You are real. Your pain is real. Your mission is real. And I see you. The universe sees you. God sees you. And now other chosen ones will see you too. The shadow that watches you while you sleep no longer has power over you. You took back your spiritual authority. You reclaimed your place as a child of light. And from now on, every time you close your eyes to sleep, you'll remember, I'm not being persecuted. I'm being prepared. I'm not being attacked. I'm being strengthened. I'm not a victim. I'm victorious. I am a chosen one. And my story is just beginning. God bless you, warrior of light. See you in the next video, where we'll dive even deeper into the mysteries surrounding those who were marked since before the foundation of the world. Until then, sleep in peace, but sleep consciously, because you now know the truth, and the truth always sets you free.